Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In my previous video I talked about some taboos, possible areas of thought, and some rather conventional opinions, if you like, thoughts, beliefs, feelings about different things. And I was thinking during that video, maybe I could make it into like a 3-part or 4-part sort of like series, and because I've got enough content to work with for probably about 3 or 4 videos, I imagine, maybe, so maybe even more, but we'll see. So in the spirit of that video, I thought I would kind of continue along those lines, but with obviously different types of kind of taboo areas. And so in today's video, I've got about 60 probably. In the last video, I was wasn't exactly sure how many I was going to do, and I ended up actually doing the whole 50. In this video, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm just going to play it by ear and just how it goes. As I've said multiple times on my channel, I don't script things. I kind of just go with the flow and just kind of let things go and work out themselves kind of naturally and deal with it that way. Which is sometimes kind of annoying when you watch your videos back and because I don't do any editing. I should do really, maybe I will start doing that at some point. I think it would be good to have some kind of overlay, some kind of visuals to watch, or some kind of like soft ambient music maybe on some of my video. Maybe that might be a useful thing going forward, we'll see. So yeah, in this video we're going to be going through some sort of unspoken, sort of borderline, sort of depraved kind of disturbing, if you like, sort of internal thoughts, even realities, let's say, for some of these. So let's get going. Okay, here's the first one. Feeling bored by others' trauma stories. Secretly zoning out when friends or family vent about serious personal issues. Now, I'm quite a good listener, or so I've been told by various people, including their members of my family. But I have to say that not so much with family, but with people that I used to know, there were certain times where they would tell me of their sort of hardships, drama and personal problems. So I admit I sometimes did used to kind of get bored, and I think it really just it was often the case of sometimes they would kind of exaggerate things, sort of turn the whole conversation about them, and it just kind of became a bit. But I don't mind listening to people when it kind of goes on for too long. It kind of starts to become a bit. So I'm a good listener, but there's a point where you have to kind of just zone out, really. You just kind of like, I'm bored with this and I'm not really that interested. It's not that I don't care, it's just I just have a low attention span, ADHD or something like that. But it's just that it's not that I care, but there's just I can only give so much of my time to people. I've only got so much patience to listen to people, and I assume it's like these videos. I know that some of my videos are quite long, and I I never really intended for them to be. I certainly didn't intend for my last video to be over 2 hours long, but that's kind of just how it works out sometimes. I'll stop doing that, and that's because I'm thinking. So it's all doing it. It's all being at the time of recording this video. Just thinking off the top of my head. I haven't planned this really. I mean, I've got an idea of sort of kind of general direction of things, but as to the specifics, I don't know. I was just kind of going, as I said, going. So yeah, I do care about people. I do care about their problems to a certain point, but I think if it's just sort of like people being melodramatic or exaggerated situations and problems, then I kind of get bored because it's kind of just attention seeking, always kind of pity party nonsense really. Number 2, wishing a loved one would fail so you look better, hoping a sibling friend or co-worker trips up to make you appear superior. I think more than anything else, I've had this with my older brother Kevin really, sometime when I was at school, when I was a teenager, where he would kind of try to kind of, there was this kind of competitive nature between us, I think, at times. I said our siblings often, especially brothers, it's sort of a natural part of their brains and really. There were times, I guess, where there was kind of like, there might be a lass here and there that I was kind of like fancied a little bit, like I'd already told my brother what so there was, I suppose, a kind of sort of a bit of sabotage, but not quite. But it was also the other way around as well. Sometimes I would quite like somebody that I liked, try to kind of embarrass me or maybe look silly or sort of maybe trip me up or sort of humiliate me and mock me in some way, but not in any kind of like not really. So it's just that kind of like brotherly sort of competition type stuff. It's not malicious. It's not some desire to see your brother or your brother to see you like to fail so much. It's just more of a kind of, it's just that, it's just kind of like how brothers are sometimes. It can become, there's a healthy part of competition between siblings anyway, but there's also sometimes a bit of toxicity there. And I think with my brother Kevin, my older brother, was like that sometimes. And as far as friends go, I suppose I did sometimes kind of sort of try to sort of belittle them sometimes, I guess, maybe sort of mock them a little bit because I fancied someone and trying to get my way or sort of went after someone because I wanted to get something. I didn't really care, I'd do anything to try and get it. So yeah, I certainly am not proud of my parts of my teenage years at school. And sometimes as a sibling, I probably wasn't always a very particularly healthy individual at times. So, but as far as co-workers, I've done that as well sometimes, I guess. In certain ways, maybe subtle ways, passive aggressive ways at times. When someone tries to put down, so you do something in retaliation, you try to sort of get passive aggressive, based revenge, sort of mocking, making a report of a joke, or something like that. Doing something to sabotage them in some way, or to because they try to make you try to paint you out as being foolish or naive or incompetent or idiotic. So you kind of took it upon yourself to kind of get one over on them, as it were. which I obviously that's not a healthy way to deal with this. But I mean, I don't want to keep saying who hasn't, but who hasn't done that before in some situation. I certainly have, and again, I'm not proud of it, but I have done it. So there we go. Next one, number 3, contemplating how easy it would be to destroy someone's life, mentally mapping out to ruin reputation for years. I've certainly had thoughts about like certain individuals, especially when I was at work, where there was someone was giving me some crap or someone was giving me a hard time for whatever reason. And kind of, you sort of imagine, how easy it would be to get that person fired, to ruin their chances of any kind of career promotion. It's easy to lose your patience with people. It's easy to get, it's easy to become intolerant. It's easy to, as they say, lose your way. It's easy to get annoyed. Very quickly with people because you've got low tolerance for other bullshit. So yeah, I have thought about it before. So I've never done it though. I think the very worst I've ever done, as far as actually like physically doing something, was like there was once a guy. One of the schools that I worked at here in town, there was I think it was Canadian, I can't remember. He was just so full of himself, and he was annoying everybody in the office, and he was like, he almost assaulted one of the Filipino teachers. I remember him trying to be all intimidating. Playing that joke, man. It was like, come on, what are you, in your mid-40s? It's like, bro. And it was just becoming a problem, and it's just, look, it's pathetic and it's immature, it's sort of petulant, whatever you want to call it. But I just remember these like expensive shoes, or like they looked quite expensive, and I just like put them in a bag when he wasn't there, one afternoon or whatever. And I just threw them in the river, and then when it's funny and it isn't. It's as funny as it is cringe-worthy and embarrassing, and kind of, it was wrong really. But at the time it was funny, I admit. Like 5 o'clock or something, it was time for me to get in the minivan to go, because the minivan took me to where we lived, or close by to where we lived. And he couldn't find his shoes. I don't know anything about that. Wasn't me. And so much sometimes. And anyway, the minivan came, and he was like looking for his shoe for about an hour or something. And I think we ended up leaving without him. I think he left not long after that. So make of that what you will. Again, I'm not proud of it, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it wasn't fun. It was at the time, and it still is to some extent. But obviously, it wasn't the right thing. It wasn't the right way to deal with things, and I shouldn't have thought it. But he really was becoming an issue, though. I think people did take it up with the agency that was dealing with everyone at the time, but they just didn't want to deal with it. So. It's one of those things, and it's like, it was funny at the time, but it's regretful. It wasn't. I shouldn't have, let myself resort to that kind of intimacy. I think that's pretty much that's the worst thing I think I've ever done. Really. But as far as mentally mapping out, destroying someone's life. Well, not destroying it. I won't say that. I won't go to that extent. That might be a little bit dramatic, but I've certainly thought about sort of sabotaging someone at times. But never. Not. It's not to the point I was ever actually going to do it. But I just sort of contemplated it for a few minutes when someone was getting on my nerves or something. Someone was just testing my patience and more or less crossing the line. Okay, next one, number 4. Imagining life without children or partner, permanently wondering how free or better life might be without them. Yeah, from time to time, there's moments, I think, in most long-term serious relationships where you start to kind of ponder on, is this the direction that you want to carry on going down? And you do sometimes think, maybe I want to be single again, maybe I don't really want to. Sometimes you're just unsure, you're just sort of left in this kind of. If you don't do something, or if you do something, that there's consequences. So, of course, I've thought about being single, a fair bit of years on and off. But then you think, is your life that bad really? I mean, is it, it's just sometimes you just go through phases where you're not feeling it, there's just troubles and going through a bit of a rocky patch or whatever, a bit of turbulence in the marriage relationship, and you did ponder and leaving, but not, don't do it, you don't pack your bags, but you certainly seriously consider it. But then you think to yourself, okay, what am I going to do then? Okay, pack my bags, okay, I've got the flight going, okay, then what? Okay, you go and meet somebody else, okay, well, before you know it, you'll be back 8 years down, 10 years down the line, where you're going to be more or less in the same situation. Okay, this is the thing, it's easy to look for a cop-out, it's easy to look for an easy solution to things, but in reality, things have cycles, things tend to eventually kind of, you kind of, people are people, and that's just the reality of it. It doesn't matter who you meet, eventually you're going to run into some kind of challenges and drama in the relationship, marriage at some point. It's just inevitable. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. It's how short how short time you've been together, how long you've been together. It's just a fact of life, that's the nature of, like I said in my last video, relationships aren't utopias. It's not this isn't some fantasy dream Disney type world, this is real life. And so the best way to deal with it is to communicate how you feel and what you're thinking about to your partner, be honest about it and try and deal with it like an adult, because otherwise that's when resentment and bitterness sets in, and before you know it, you're at each other's throats every second of the day. And that doesn't do anybody any favours, let alone yourself. Okay, right, number 5. Using guilt trips to control people, secretly knowing you're manipulating, but justifying it because you care. Well, to be honest, I very, 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 very rarely do that. I'm not that type of person. I think really, I think probably I've done it with my parents from time to time when I was younger. But as I've grown older, I kind of understand it a bit better, and I've got a bit more. I suppose I've kind of softened a little bit and become a little bit more forgiving, and I've grown in empathy. I hope so, a little bit more over the years. So you kind of learn to let shit go. You sort of learn to let things slide a little bit as you get older, because time's running out, and it's easy for you to judge something that you don't fully understand. That you weren't there at the time, you weren't in that situation. So it's I don't think it's helpful really. I think we all do it when we're teenagers. We all blame our parents for that. When we're young adults, we all blame our parents for this. And that's not to say that your parents might have been to some extent. It's not to say that they didn't fail you in certain ways. That might be the case. But to guilt trip people for your lack of ambition, your lack of progress in life, your lack of aspiration, whatever you want to say. Is it fair? there's probably some argument there that needs to be made. There probably is some, genuine relevant points that you can make about those kind of things in terms of your upbringing and your parent behaviour, and the things that you learned because of being surrounded by them for so long. Yeah, there's probably some truth to that. But as an adult, it's like, yes, you can accept that, but there comes a point where you have to, admit that things might not have been right, perfect, but there comes a point where you have to, say, okay, but okay, that wasn't good, but what now? That was the past. That this is now. This is my life now. I'm not surrounded by those people anymore. You've got to stop making excuses and find something within yourself to stop guilt tripping, to stop making your problems everybody else's and blaming everybody else. Number 6, pretending to be supportive while seething with jealousy, smiling while a friend or family member shares good news, but in pretend that they represent them. Yeah, I have had this actually. I hate to say it, but yeah. And I think a lot of the time it sort of came down to things like money, holidays, and sort of. Just sort of usually things that didn't involve me in some way. I was very selfish in my, younger adult years, my early to mid 20s. Very, very selfish, very self-absorbed. Full of my own ego, like the smell of my own farts kind of type of thing. And I think it wasn't always like that. Sometimes it was just a case of that I'm just not naturally sort of over the top, bursting at the seams with joy and happiness that everybody else is like. It's the type of person. Really. It's like I don't mind. I don't mind. I can be happy for people. If you expect me to be sort of like overjoyed and over the moon because you bought a new car, or you've met someone, or you've got a new job or something like that. You've got a holiday. It's like, yeah, that's all been great, but it's like, and so, it's like, but you can't say that, can you? You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to put on this pretense that you're worldly, that you care, that you're supportive, and that you're interested in their lives. It's not that you're not interested. It's just that you can't give something that you don't have to some. You can't give a part of yourself that's not there. It's like you can't give to people things that they want when you don't have it, when it's non-existent. It's like I can give you a certain level of excitement and interest and enthusiasm for your life to a point, but beyond that, it's like it's me faking it, really. I can't. It's so obvious when I'm faking something as well. It's like I don't like doing that. So sometimes it might come across to people as me being, maybe being a bit shallow. I'm not that naturally. I don't have a naturally. What's the right word here? Sort of overly engaged, overly. Energetic, beaming with enthusiasm about other people's lives. It's like I can show interest, but there's a point where you say, after that bit, that's me kind of exaggerating it, really. So I'm not gonna, it's all this sort of expected behaviour from people, and that's kind of partly why I wanted to kind of cut myself off from people, because I got tired of playing that shit, like having to fake interest and enthusiasm for other people's lives. So it's not so much that it wasn't so much it was resentment. It was just that I just wasn't that interested, to be honest. Not because I didn't care. I just wasn't just naturally just wasn't that interested. It's like I'm glad for you. I'm happy for you that you've got this and that and the other. It's like that's great, wonderful, but if you're expecting me to be like jumping with joy or something, like because you've made some money or something, it's like I think you're being a bit unrealistic, really, and expecting too much out of people up to a point. So anyway, that's that. Number 7. Sorry, my next turn. I sleep really terribly these days. I really have a lot of problems. I seem to have more problems with sleep as I get older. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to make a point about the previous video. I'm sorry about the audio on that video. I know it was one great because where my iPad was, it's quite close to the portable AC unit, and it was interfering with sound. So I've changed the settings on the live here, so I'm hoping that this, what was a live by the time it goes on YouTube, by the time you see it. I've changed the settings on my Facebook Live because I'm using my Facebook Lives, saving them on my iPad and then uploading them to YouTube. And I've said that a few times already, but yeah, I just want to make it again. Right, let's move on then to number 7 here. Thinking about staging or faking an illness for attention, fantasizing about getting sympathy without actually being ill. I thought about like being ill before, and sort of. I think the thing is, it's like I think after like the first hour or so, like if you was, I thought about actually being genuinely ill and being in a hospital, and people coming to see you and bringing you cards and whatever, just I don't know, bringing gifts or something. But I think after the first hour or few hours, if it was a genuine illness, you wouldn't really care. You just want to get better. But as far as actually faking an illness, I've thought about it, but it's not something I would ever do. Faking an illness for sympathy, no. It's like if you get sympathy, it's like obviously I wouldn't mind if people had some sympathy, some care about me if I was actually genuinely ill. That would be welcome. That would be a nice thing to have. But as far as faking an illness to get attention, sympathy, that's pretty toxic as far as I'm concerned. When I was 12, 13, when I used to spend time at my grandmother's and uncle's house, I used to sometimes play dead and sort of just. It was funny at the time, my uncle used to come and sort of pretend that I was, I genuinely thought that I was, because it was, just had a really weird personality. It was interesting. So I used to kind of sort of pretend that I was sort of dead for a few seconds or something ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I was only a kid, but I can't really honestly think about any time. Obviously when I've actually been ill in the past, I've been ill quite a few times over the years, fever and flu, food poisoning, whatever it is, and diarrhea and all the rest of it, like most people have. It's nice to have the sympathy, but I don't want fake sympathy. I don't want sympathy just for because you feel sorry, just simply because you feel sorry for them. It's like I want you to show that you care. Really. I don't want it just because you feel guilty or you feel sad. It's like not. I don't know. There's a fine line, I guess. I don't know why anybody would. Apart from obviously getting insurance money or something like that, faking your own death or something like that. I've thought about that before, sort of faking my own death and running away from it all and kind of sort of trying to sort of live a kind of off the grid life when life was getting a bit stressful and tiring. But that's it, really. Number 8, the edge to scream dark truths and public spaces. Yes, I've had these kind of thoughts many times over the years. And, when I've been out in the town centre or in like in shopping centres and things like that. Sometimes just sort of, I wonder what would happen. Well, it's not so much as like the actual things you would say, but just like wondering what would happen. That kind of that sort of daring to do something that's deemed inappropriate, daring to do something that's unacceptable, sort of rocking the foundations of social, expected social norms, expected social behaviour kind of thing. I sometimes thought about that, just like shouting out, just shouting. I sometimes actually have feeling proud of, shouting when something bad's happened, sometimes shouting, swear. Sort of got fed up, like my bike had a puncture or something just shit happened that day. Sometimes I've sort of shouted, but usually when there wasn't really anybody about it, or if anybody. But for the most part, it's not something I don't have any intentions of doing really. The only time really I suppose you can get away with that is when you're sort of stood outside of a placard kind of thing, or at some rally or protest or something. I mean, apart from that, it's deemed to be inappropriate. But I was kind of like thinking about those sort of things, breaking the social, expected behaviours, and this very rigid, overly reserved nature that we're supposed to abide by every time we go out in public. But then again, what would nobody wants to tolerate listening to someone shouting at the top of their lungs, swearing and cursing like there's no tomorrow, or saying, either doing or saying things that are not particularly pleasant, regardless of whatever valid points they may have, or valid reasons for it. I don't know. It's one of those difficult ones. Is it wrong? Depends what. I don't know. It's like, I don't think it's wrong to say anything particularly, but is it wrong to act violently and target people? Then yeah, obviously. That's an entirely different thing. Number 9, imagining how you kill someone close if forced to. Morbid mental exercises about harming people you actually love. Yeah, I have thought about actually. It's not. I know this is a horrific thing to say, but yeah, I have thought about murdering someone before, like genuinely, and I've actually visualised it. I've actually visualised getting a gun, systematically going after certain individuals from my past, blowing their fucking heads off on the doorstep kind of thing. As they say, a new gen said, no cap. And I genuinely have, actually thought it through to some extent. I mean, obviously, let me make it absolutely clear, I'm not going to do that. It's never going to happen. I don't want to go to jail, and I don't want a guilty conscience. I don't want to sit in jail for the next 50 years or something. But yeah, of course, I have thought about it, about killing someone. But as far as being forced to kill someone, I think if it came down to survival, I suppose yes. Or if it came down to like either me killing someone or someone being killed, it's like I'd probably end up have to kill somebody, wouldn't I? I don't want to die. Nobody wants to die. It's a natural instinct. Survival is part of the very core of our being. But I don't know what. But as far as forced, I don't know exactly what that means. I think like if it was over money or if it was over drugs or women or something like that, I wouldn't care so much. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. As far as people I love, killing them, yes, I have thought that before, especially with my father. Not now, but 10, 12 years ago, when we were having difficulties and starting when I was in my mid-teens. I won't go into that too much, but yeah, I had a very difficult relationship with my father growing up. What a surprise! Yeah, again, it's something that I don't like thinking about it because I don't want to admit it. But yes, I have. Sometimes I have very bad dreams in which I wake up kind of pondering my previous thoughts and emotions and all the rest of it and past decisions. Number 10, the fantasy of switching identities and abandoning your life altogether. Well, that kind of comes back to the sort of what I've already said, sort of faking your own death kind of thing. Number 4, where I sort of imagining kind of a different life. I thought about being like, I wonder what it would be like to be a woman before. I thought about what it would be like to have a different personality, a different character. I wonder how things would have been differently if I'd have made a few different choices, stayed in, being a bit more resilient, a bit more, I'd have persevered a little bit more at different moments in my life. But yeah, I thought about abandoning my life. Like faking my own death, sort of going off the grid type thing, having a different name. I thought about that one. I wonder what it would be like to have a different name. I've actually even thought about changing my name. It might be something that I do in the future. I just never really particularly liked my name. That's kind of why I have the name that I do on my channel, because I don't know. I just kind of I don't know. I just like it better. It sounds better. I don't know, I just never really. I think it's because of the bullying I had at school and sort of associated with all that sort of stuff. So it's probably a kind of coping thing, maybe to some extent. But yeah, switching your identity, abandoning your life. When things get on top of you, sometimes that's kind of like the first thing you immediately go to, isn't it? Really? We're packed down, we're going to leave. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Have you got enough money? Do you know anybody? It's like, how are you going to do it? When you that irrational part of the brain starts to take over, when you start to think it through a bit more and you think, could you actually do it? How long could you survive for? How long would you want to put that pressure, that stress on your family if you did it? It's not fair on them, is it, really? That's kind of, I suppose, really the only reason why I haven't done it. But I've thought about it probably a dozen times, maybe. Number 11, believing you're better than most people you know. Yes, I've thought this a few times over the years. Not so much in like intelligence, but just in terms of like emotional intelligence, like the ability to think more deeply about things, the ability to consider different things in more depth. I suppose maybe more importantly in terms of like empathy, compassion, because I think a lot of people seem to lack those things, or they're just more or less non-existent in some people, which is really worrying, obviously. But as far as seeing myself as morally superior, ethically superior, it's not so much that. It's just that I just think that it's not something that I think that I'm better than other people. It's just that I just see myself as, because of the very specific circumstances of my life, my upbringing, things that I've faced, the challenge that I've had over the years, personally speaking, quite a lot of it, it's made me into who I am. And I think a lot of people, they might not have gone through the same thing I have, just as I haven't gone through a lot of things other people. So I've not. So it wouldn't be right. It's not. It's not. I don't think I've ever really genuinely thought I was better than people. I just thought I was different, really, more than probably anything else. But I'm very different. I don't want to say unique. That's not the right word. Just very nuanced individual. A bit complicated. Maybe a bit complex at times to understand. To gravitate to connect with, maybe, for some people. So I don't think the word better is really the appropriate word, but as far as thinking that I'm quite different to a lot of people, although there were certainly a lot of people similar to me or probably even like me more or less, then yeah. There's nobody in the world probably exactly like me. Yes, there'll be people that are similar, but no one's exactly the same. Just as that applies to everybody. There's no exact copy of anybody in the world. There might be some similarities, or you might get close in some ways, but no one's exactly the same. So I don't think I'm better, but I certainly think I'm quite different to many people. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I honestly don't know. Imagining committing fraud or theft to solve financial problems. Yes, I have actually. I've just thought about that recently. I was just thinking about breaking into some bank or stealing something from a convenience store or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, I have thought about it. Even theft. From various financial sources over the years, but it's just not me. I don't. I'm not. The thing is, I'm not. Which is obviously, I'm not a particularly money-driven individual. I never really have been, which is why I'm in the financial problems that I'm in. But would I step on someone to get money to sort myself out? I don't think so. I'd rather just work and do something that I really particularly enjoy to get money rather than stealing it. Because I know what would happen anyway after. I might not care in the moment, but later down the line, I'd be like, I deeply regret it, and it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Not only because obviously you have a criminal record and you're going to land yourself in jail and have to pay all that money back. But believe it or not, I actually have a conscience, and I would end up with a guilty conscience. Number 13, wishing certain co-workers or bosses would die in an accident. I never really seriously pondered on them dying, but I've certainly pondered on them having an accident in which they can't come back to work, or just never coming back to work for whatever reason, because I just didn't get along with them. It's weird. To be honest, I can get along with this. It's surprising I can get along with a lot of people because I've got a good sense of humour, and I try my best to get along with people. But I think there's come to the point where I just start to see through people, and that's the point where things break down for me. And once I start seeing the real individual, once you get an inkling that someone's not who they're trying to portray themselves out to be, that for me that's the point where I no longer have any tolerance or respect for those individuals. Which you can say what you want about that, but I don't know. I find it difficult to I'd rather people were just real with me, whether I liked it or not. It's like rather than putting on a fake front kind of thing. 14, thinking how easy it would be to cheat in your current relationship. I mean, who hasn't thought about that? Who hasn't once or twice thought about, what it would be like to sleep with, another woman or another man. I mean, it's that is I don't, if you go back through human history, we weren't always we weren't always attached to one individual. In fact, a lot of the time, males would sleep and impregnate multiple women throughout their lives. So, there is a kind of biological, historical argument to be made about, possibly men and women having, non-monogamous relationship, what the word is. Because, I think, certainly from a male point of view, I think especially young men, they tend to want to kind of, as they say, spread their seed kind of thing around, and procreate. But that applies to a lot of women as well. So, I think the days of people sticking with the same partner throughout their entire life, I think those days are well and truly gone. I don't think the vast majority of people really want that kind of life. But I think as time goes on, I think it'll become easier and easier for people to have multiple. And I won't be surprised if we end up at a point where you can essentially marry multiple partners really at the same time. I think the future is going to be very bizarre and very sort of hyper-liberalism, over the top extreme liberalism, basically, probably the way things are going. 14. So I think we just go expand upon that a bit more. Yeah, I mean, I have thought about cheating before, but I haven't done it, thankfully. I did do it in my last relationship, but in this relationship it happened, and I had no intentions of doing so because it doesn't appeal to me anymore. And I think, the thing is, there's so much to lose from it as well. It's just not worth it in the end. It's, yes, it's, wham, bang, bang, thank you, man, kind of thing. That sort of the novelty of that wears off eventually. It's all good and well when you're young, kind of thing, because it's like, there's less kind of consequences of it, especially if you haven't got children. But when children are involved in that kind of stuff, I don't know. There's a whole area of really discussion of what it means to be a parent. What makes good parents. What should a family dynamic situation be that makes it healthy for everybody involved. Some people might say that it's better to stay with the same person, at least until the children grow up to a certain age anyway. Whereas some people would argue that it's better to have more than one partner, because eventually, that sex drives can differ, things can change over time, and frustrations, resentment, and sexual frustration can set in once one or the other side of the partnership doesn't want to have any more kids, so they're hyper protective about that, about getting pregnant and impregnating someone, and at that point, that's when sexual frustrations can start to set in. It might all be well good in some ways, but once I think the reality is this is once the intimacy starts to dwindle, once one of the other partners essentially either just kind of loses interest, sexually speaking, The sexual compatibility is not there anymore for whatever reasons. Maybe the looks have gone, maybe you've gained weight, maybe you're not feeling it's too much stress and pressure from work, from the kids, you look tired all the time. I don't know, it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's like you can't force someone to want to have sexual intercourse with you in a marriage relationship. But there is a point to be made. It's like, well, that is kind of a part of it, isn't it? Let's face it. It's partly what drew you to each other, and that's partly what will keep you together. It's not everything. I realise that, obviously, but it is a key component of long-term relationship marriages that people often overlook. That the sexual part of a marriage relationship is important, and once that starts to disappear or starts to slow down, a lot of problems can come about because of that, and it can cause more friction, more tensions in a relationship marriage. And before you know it, one of the others thinking about having an affair. Some people actually don't go through with it. Some people do, and a lot of people do, because they're not getting. It's not so much about the sex; it's about the intimacy, the lack of intimacy, and that's where people start to get bored and start to seek it elsewhere. But really, it's just sticking a band-aid on it. It doesn't really solve anything. All it does in the end is just causes more problems, especially if kids are involved. That doesn't do anybody good. So yeah, I think the vast majority of people, especially in long-term relationships, long-term marriages, they will have at least have thought about having an affair at least once or twice. A lot of people won't do it, and probably never will. They'll leave before they do that. But unfortunately, a lot of people do have affairs, and that includes both men and women. Let's be honest about it. And there are a lot of reasons behind it. It's not just about the lack of sex. It can come down to just endless arguments and pettiness and point scoring and using kids against your partner kind of thing, and all sorts of toxicity and dysfunctionalities that can creep up on long-term partnerships all the time that people weren't prepared for, don't really know how to deal with properly. Number 15, feeling nothing when others suffer, numbness or apathy toward tragedies, even those close to home. No, I'm not like that actually. I'm quite actually the opposite. I have a lot of empathy for a lot of people, especially my family. My uncle died not so long ago, and I feel for my father. I know how difficult it must be for him, and he's still grieving basically. For 2 years on. I feel for my mother. She obviously doesn't have her parents around. They haven't been around for a long time. I have a lot of empathy. I know what it's like to grieve. I know what it's like to suffer. I know what it's like to be sad. I know what it's like to be lonely. I know what it's like to be frustrated. I know what it's like to have that existential crisis thing hanging over your head all the time. I have empathy. I understand people's emotions to a point. Obviously not those people, but I feel people's emotions sometimes. Not literally, but it's like I can see it in people's faces. I can see it in people's eyes when they're going through something. I can just, maybe not all the time, but most of the time, I think I can see. I see the frustrations in people. I see when people are going through a battle. They're going through something. They don't talk about it, or not talk much about it, but you can see it in people. It's written all over the body language. It's written all over the face. Even when people are smiling and happy, sometimes you can just get little glimmers of it. When people let that mask slip from time to time, I see it. I see it all. The only time I haven't really felt anything for people really is when it's people that have done me wrong. I have a level of forgiveness, but there's a point for me, unfortunately, where there are some people out there that don't deserve my empathy, don't deserve any level of compassion, any level of sympathy from me whatsoever. That's that. And that will remain so for the rest of my life. Okay, let's move on to number 16 here, which is being happy when someone more deserving dies instead of you or someone you care about. Twisted survival and strict satisfaction. Yeah, I don't really usually, to be honest, wish for anybody to die, unless it's someone that's, unless it's someone that's done something terrible, like seriously bad, like molested kids or raped someone or butchered someone to death, or I don't know, like stole money, stealing someone's hard-earned money that they saved for decades, or like, if some politician or something that dies that's being an asshole or just being a horrible individual, I couldn't give a shit, to be honest. Really couldn't care less. Some dirty, horrible, disgusting individual now would have done something to animals or to children or to vulnerable people. I couldn't care less. Really couldn't care less. But as far as someone I care about dying, I mean, not really, to be honest. I don't think I've ever really thought about that. It's like I thought about what it might be like when somebody dies, like someone close to me, like my siblings or my parents, or friends or lovers even. But as far as like me being happy because they died and I'm still alive, not really. Even I'm not that. Even I've done that kind of level of sadistic, psychological sadistic, exhibiting that kind of sadistic satisfaction. No, that's not me at all. But of course, I've thought about, I wonder what it'd be like when this so and so dies, or this happens to someone. How am I going to feel? How am I going to feel when my parents go? How am I going to feel when my siblings go if they go before me? But never to the point of like, well, at least it's them and not me kind of thing. It's like I thought about other people, but not nobody close to me really. I thought about like people I used to know from school who were particularly pleasant individuals, like recent stems and that kind of thing. But or when someone has terrible, like when you see news of terrible accidents, horrific incidents and stuff like yes, I admit they're happen. But I mean, apart from that, you see these things like air accidents and like horrific events that have happened throughout history and stuff like that, like 9/11, like massacres and like genocide. Thank God I wasn't there. Thank God I wasn't there. Kind of thing. But I thought that multiple times. Number 17, having vivid fantasies of betraying someone's deepest trust, not to break a sacred bond, just to see the fallout. I've imagined it, yeah. Not fantasized, but not as like some sort of fetish or something. But yeah, I've thought about it before, and I've actually done it, actually, I suppose, in a way, with all sort of pals, and I use that word deliberately, that's probably where they're not good friends. But yeah, I suppose like with my parents or siblings at times, and saying something that would doing something that would ruin everything, upsetting individuals, like of course. Or like sort of doing something, thinking about doing something, saying something to my partner that would ruin our relationship. Yeah, I've thought about it before. Never done it, and I never will do. But of course, this is about being brutally open and transparent. These videos are exactly that, and that's what I'm going to do. And it might make people have a kind of bitter, sour sort of feeling about him in some way. Maybe, and I hope that isn't the case. But sometimes saying certain things can leave a sour taste in people's lives, in people's mouths about certain individuals. And I hope that's not the case with me. But I just do want to open up about these kind of things because someone has to. And maybe I'm the first on YouTube to do it properly to this extent. Right, number 18, secretly wishing somebody would just shut up permanently. I think I touched upon that a little bit in my previous video. It's beyond frustration, fantasizing about total silence. Yes, I have done this many times. Especially like I spoke earlier about that guy in the office, in one of the schools or whatever. He was just he would just talk and he was just so obnoxious, so obsessed with himself, just seriously, just shut up. You just get people like that sometimes. And I probably have been that person myself. Maybe that's how people might see me on my YouTube channel. I hope that's not how people view me. Go on, talk. Because I want to express myself fully. I want to get my points across fully. I want to give something of myself to each video. Put something out there that I suppose in a way is a kind of legacy. It's an insight into my mind. Not that I'm nobody. I've got claim to be anybody or important or anybody of any kind of status or anybody worthy of attention kind of thing. But it's my YouTube channel. I just wanted to use it as a platform to express myself. Partly because I don't really talk to anybody these days, honestly. I've lost a lot of friends over the years, unfortunately. I was watching a video, was it yesterday, Tiana? Shout out to Tiana, he's a great guy, great YouTuber, content. Wise beyond his years in respect, which I was wise at that age, wiser than I was. And he was talking about the loss of friends, and I could relate to it so much. I felt like over the last few years, just sort of seeing a part of your life, just kind of like watching the universe back, kind of thing. So part of grieving a part of yourself that you've lost, and pondering on what their lives are like now. If they ever think about you, if they ever thought about reaching out to you. It was kind of upsetting. It was really quite a moving video, and that's what I like about Tim's videos. He only posts stuff that he genuinely feels and he really thinks. And that's what I do on my YouTube channel, but he does it better, I think, in many ways. Probably a bit more articulate and he doesn't ramble on as much as I do. But anyway, yeah, but there are times when in the past where sometimes someone's just talking too much. It's a teacher, it's a friend, it's a man. Even myself sometimes, honestly. I'm just like going on about it. Just thinking, I couldn't bring this to anybody. But as far as that total sounds, yes. Because sometimes I just want to be in peace. I don't really want to talk, actually, weirdly, ironically, which contradicts the nature of this channel in many ways. Certainly the last year now or something, been non-stop bombardment of videos. But yeah, I think as I'm getting older, I kind of want more opportunities for contemplation, really, opportunities for solitude, opportunities to find some level of spirituality, find some degree of peace with myself, because I've had a very difficult relationship with myself and people, as I've talked all too much about on the channel. So sometimes I do wish people would shut up a little bit, just sometimes, just kind of away a little bit. Number 19. Feeling contempt for family members you're supposed to love, unspoken resentment towards parents, siblings, or children. I do have some resentment towards my parents, actually. I did say before about being accountable and responsible for myself. I stand by that. But there are certain things that happened in my childhood and my teenager, even as a young adult, when I was still young at home, that I don't think I'll ever be able to get over completely. I don't think I'll ever be able to completely forgive them for. I wish I could. I really do, but I don't think I will ever truly be able to. I just don't think I'll be able to ever truly forgive them for properly. So that's that. Okay, so we're just going to do thefts for this video because I think that's what I'm going to stick to from now. I'm going to try and stick to. So this is probably going to be a part of a series of videos, and so probably I'm expecting this to go on for maybe 4 or 5 parts, maybe. So I'm going to get through the rest of these now. So yeah, I have some resentment towards my older brother, my younger brother in different ways. Not so much my sister, but certainly my parents, because of the issues of alcoholism and domestic abuse and things like that. But I had to didn't really have the option but to tolerate them. I do love them, but it's a complicated love. And that's that. But there were other family members like that I honestly can't stand them. I don't really care. That's what I've done my cousins as well. I just shit with them. Gotta be, I just don't really think about those people anymore. That's it. 20. The desire to completely emotionally detach from everyone. Yeah, sometimes I'm too emotional. Sometimes I'm too open, too honest, too transparent, just too emotional. And yeah, I think sometimes I do need to detach myself emotionally from certain people. I need to become a little bit more indifferent, stoic probably, and less available to people emotionally speaking. 21. Visualising violent, accumulate punishment for strange to annoy you. Done this many times. People on the bus blasting the music out, or on the train or whatever. Some annoying kid on the plane, or whatever it is. On the bus, someone being really annoying, not just considerate people. Yeah, thought about this multiple times. Visualising what I would do to them, smashing the skull against the window or something. Just going up and to some ridiculous. You wouldn't do it, obviously, but you do think it. You see it in your head. We all have those intrusive thoughts of when people push our buttons, people pushing the point where we're willing to be civilised and abide by the accepted behaviours of social interactions kind of thing. Okay, 22. Craving total power over another person's life. I've talked about this on a little bit on my previous video, so I'm not really going to go into that too much. Playing God. Yes, I've had it, especially with like governments and politicians and corrupt individuals, and people that want to get away with all sorts of stuff and let everybody else suffer because of it, and they feel nothing for those people. Then yeah, I would honestly wouldn't mind playing God and wipe a lot of people, probably a lot of people out, if I hadn't really said real power control over certain people's life that would have done anything like that. 23. Thinking life would be simpler seconds around disappeared. Yeah, I thought about sort of disappearing into the night kind of thing from time to time when we want to like to have no family, which might happen one day. If I live long enough, maybe. I've lots of thought about having no friends for the rest of my life. Sort of imagining what it would be like if there was nobody around, just you, that kind of thing. 24, imagining what do with society collapse and laws no longer apply. I sort of touched about that on that in my previous video about lawlessness and sort of predatory-based behaviours and what do you call it? I'm trying to think what the word is. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but when society collapses, it's sort of every man for themselves kind of thing. Or it might be sort of like a no man's land type of situation where essentially kind of revert back to kind of how we used to be in certain ways. Maybe we would form cliques, maybe we would form tribes. I don't know how that would exactly play out. But yeah, I've certainly entertained it probably more than I should have. Do seriously wonder what would happen. But if I fantasize about emotionally, physically breaking someone with envy, seems self-defeating or commandment psychological. Yes, absolutely, many, many times. I did that just a week ago with someone that I used to like from school. And I think about this a lot, about certain very specific people that I used to hang about with. I used to know when I was a teenager that absolutely would deserve that. Some of these people are really scumbags. And I would enjoy nothing more than absolutely destroying their lives if I got the opportunity, if not wiping them out of existence altogether. 26. Moments where you've let someone die to save yourself. Yeah, there's very people like that. I'll just name a few names off the top of my head. Greg, Damien, Tony, probably even people I used to be friends with as well, honestly. I just don't really, I wouldn't consider they had multiple opportunities to redeem themselves and show themselves to be true friends, and they just eventually I just don't really care about what people. They can all go fuck themselves every last fucking moment, because none of them have really bothered to ever reach out over the years. I was doing all the reaching out, and if I'm bitter about it, I'm bitter about it, but you know what, I did my best, I tried my best to stay in contact with people. They weren't interested anymore, so I don't have to be conscience. So would I let them die to save myself? Probably. Maybe not all of them, but some of the worst ones, more manipulative, lying ones, absolutely. 27, daydreaming about being part of something evil just to experience. Yeah, I thought about that before a few times about being part of some evil cult or some nasty cartel or some corrupt criminal scheme, or being part of a massacre or some genocide, something like that. Yeah, of course I thought about it. I wouldn't ever want to do it. But yeah, I thought about what it would be like to try and put yourself in those people's shoes, to imagine what it would be like to have that kind of power, sick, twisted control over people. It's very nice thing to think about. So anyway, I was planning to do about 16 in this video, but I don't have time to do it now. Plans have changed, so I will continue with this in another video another day. But now we're on to the very last. We're on to the last ones here. 28. Feeling no guilt over lying to get ahead. I've sometimes had this before, where I didn't really feel guilty about lying about certain things, because there was a reason. There were reasons behind it that were beneficial, and the fact that certain people didn't realise that I've been lying about something. It's like, yeah, I mean, certainly initially in that at that point in time, I didn't really feel any guilt about it. But over time, yeah, I did have a bit of conscience about certain things. But lying to get ahead, yeah, and of course I've done that in some ways in my CV, I suppose. Job interviews over the years at times. I'm not proud of it. It's not something I'm not going to boast about. But yeah, I've done it. I mean, we all have, because we all belong to a capitalist system where, unfortunately, it's a system, a society where we sometimes feel that we have to do that, and we justify it to ourselves. And I'm not trying to in any way, shape or form saying that that's what you should do. But we all do it at times in life because we want to. Yes, we're manoeuvring ourselves, aren't we, in this system? It's like a game of chess almost. Okay, the last two then. 29, the urge to intentionally ruin a gathering event. Kind of touched upon that before. In fact, I even actually, to some extent, sort of, in a way, I suppose, I kind of have it seen at times, like at funerals where I sort of laughed about something in the moment, or where I sort of said something. Like I have sometimes done that where I've said things to certain people that kind of ruin the atmosphere, but I did it deliberately, there was intention, there was a reason behind it, and those people got exactly what they deserved. Number 30, last one, secret Russian society will become more violent. In a way, I've kind of touched upon that before in regards to UK politics. I don't really want there to be civil unrest, but I think, as far as I can tell, that's probably inevitable, and that's coming down the line over the next 20 years. With the more and more ever creeping dominance of Islamisation and further globalist sort of liberal-based policies that have been enacted in England, especially. So, in a way, I kind of want this actually, because I think that's the point where things would be turned around. But on the other hand, maybe that's what governments want, so they can use it against the population. That the very people that do right and disturbing the very fabric of society. So part of me wants it, part of me doesn't. So there we go. So there's 30 of some rather interesting concepts to think about. In the next video, I don't know exactly when that's going to be. I'll be going through some other areas, including, just have a look here. So probably it'll be along the kind of similar lines, the various other taboo areas and sort of unspoken thoughts, feelings about various things. So that sort of, sort of the very, very darkest, deepest things that people won't ever say. Probably even some people, probably even with the very closest friends, the closest with loved ones. So my plan is to kind of go through things like touch a bit more probably on things like revenge, capital punishment, maybe abortion, sort of cultural appropriation, genetic manipulation. The ethics of sort of eating meat and using animal products, toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, social media, the concept of forgiveness, AI, sort of multiculturalism, so-called marginalised communities, all that kind of stuff. Sex work, influences, mental health and so forth, and many other things. So I'm going to leave this video here for now. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know it's a lot shorter than it was supposed to be, but that's probably a good thing because there's so many things to go through and there's not enough time to go through everything in one video. So that's why I'm going to make this multiple series kind of thing. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've watched the previous video. If you haven't, go and check that out. It's pretty interesting. And I hope you continue to find the future videos interesting as well. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.